And returning back to the story of the return of the remains of 4 Israeli hostages that were held in the Gaza Strip, we can go to our correspondent, Noga Tarnopolsky. Good morning, Noga. Sadly, the hostages being returned today are not alive. How different is the mood in the country compared to previous returns of hostages?
It's very radically different, I'd say. Good morning. It's anxious, this is the very first time since the start of the war on October 7th, 2023, that Hamas has returned dead bodies of hostages to Israel. And, in small details of this transfer, which we're waiting for now any minute or in the next hour or so, there were all kinds of awkwardnesses and mishandling. So Hamas announced, for example, the names of the hostages, and the family members begged Israeli media, don't say, let our own authorities identify them, following which the office of the Israeli Prime Minister identified them without having yet received the body. So there's been a lot of confusion, a lot of anger, and it seems to be a reflection of the fact that it's much sadder and much harder to receive dead bodies back. In the case of these 4 particular individuals, all are known to have survived the hostage taking. All were seen, and in one case documented, in Gaza as hostages. So the feeling, of heartbreak and of them having known and survived at least part of their captivity is very, very difficult, and kind of casting a heavy pall over this day.
And another heavy pall is the fact that both Shiri Bibas and Oded Lifshitz had family members returned alive in previous exchanges. How are the survivors reacting to today's return of their loved ones' remains?
That's right. Oded Bibas, who was kidnapped at the age of 84, was taken with his wife. In fact, he had been trying to save her, and he was taken with the handle to his bomb shelter, to his safe room, still in his hand, as far as we know. She was released after just 17 days of captivity, and she hadn't seen her husband in Gaza. But other captives had seen him, and one actually spent 2 full weeks with him. His wife spoke yesterday quite angrily. She said that her husband had been a pro-peace activist his whole life. In fact, he was a retired journalist. He had reported on the massacre in Beirut way back in the 80s at the Sabra and Shatila camps. She spoke with bitterness both about his death at the hands of Palestinian terrorists and at the mishandling of this whole situation by the Israeli government. The Bibas family has not spoken out except last night, very briefly. The sister of Yarden Bibas posted a statement on her Facebook account really lambasting the office of Prime Minister Netanyahu for having released the names of the dead before getting the permission of the families and before the bodies have even been examined. Other than that, they really are keeping quiet during this period.
Thank you very much for that, to Noga Tarnopolsky in Jerusalem.